So Lisa, I'll start with this question, and it's more of a point. I think what was so eye-opening for me about your book is you didn't just start when you started drinking. You took us back and you said, look, the roots of this, really, they existed in my childhood.
Yes, yeah, I really do believe that. And that was something that came through to me over the course of years afterwards, not necessarily in the moment, but what I learned through talking to the psychiatrist with whom I spoke daily in the hospital I was in, was that at the end of speaking to me for 4 days, he said, "Listen, from everything I hear, you have crossed the line beyond where you can drink safely. So you're going to have to not drink anymore. But I believe that what you've been doing with drinking and with drugs is probably the same thing that when I go back to my childhood that I was doing as a child with food and sweets." He said, "I believe you have an underlying mental health disorder that has not been diagnosed or treated until now. I believe you have major depression, depressive disorder and anxiety, and you've been self-medicating from when you were a kid with food to moved on to alcohol and drugs, and now we're going to address that chemical imbalance in your brain differently."
At the height of this, you were self-medicating with a lot of wine, vodka, cocaine. This had been going on for years, and it started in the morning, ended until you passed out at night. But what was it about that one morning, now that you've had time to think about it, where you said, enough? You called your friends and you said, I'm going to detox.
Yeah, that morning, it was the last 18 months for me. It was the end of a 12-year downward miserable spiral. And, you know, there's the physical spiral and the physical addiction, and then there's the psychological spiral of just shame and fear, and you lose your self-esteem. And that was the last 18 months of 24/7. I got up that Monday morning like I had many Monday mornings. I had a drink and used cocaine in order to balance myself out, basically to normalize myself to go to work. And I was headed out the door, makeup on, laptop in one hand, New York Times in the other. And I was in my apartment in New York City. I was going to the elevator to hit the down button, and I became overwhelmed with this feeling that I now know was a panic attack. But at the time, I thought it was a heart attack or an overdose. And for all of the times that I had not wanted in my eyes in the morning before that, for some reason, in that moment when I thought I was actually about to die, something snapped. And I said, I got to go get help. I got to go. I know I'm going to have to go to the hospital.
What's interesting about your visit to detox is you did get a diagnosis, you got a drug that worked, and I think that people who might think, oh, I'm going to have to do this on my own, might not realize that there's actual chemical help out there that will help them move past this.
Yes, I was extremely fortunate. It can be very difficult to get a correct mental health diagnosis out of the box. I was really fortunate with that. And it can be difficult to get the right medication prescribed to address whatever that chemical imbalance is in the brain that may have led you down the path of a substance use disorder. But there are people that, you know, come into recovery, and it may take some time, and it may take trying different medications. And a lot of people, no medication, but whatever it is, you know, there is help out there for these chemical imbalances. And I take it like I would take any medicine I was prescribed for if I had diabetes or if I had cardiac disease. It's all the same.
What I love about your mission now, talking to folks who are just getting into the practice of law, and even folks who have been in law for many years, is you're using your own story to remove the stigma of this and to remind them this might not be a sign of weakness. They can still be a great lawyer, a great husband, a great wife, but they have to get this under control, and there are ways to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is what's been really great in the legal profession. And I think one of the positives that we'll see coming out of this pandemic is that these discussions of mental health and substance use disorders are much more frequent and much more open. But in the legal world, it has been very helpful for people like partners in big law firms, and to even the managing partner of one of the biggest law firms and most prestigious law firms, to come out and say, I struggled with alcohol for for a long time, and I've now been sober for 25 years, and I'm proud of that. There is no shame in this. It is not a weakness. It is not a defective thing. This happens, and you can get better, and see, you can still have this amazing career. In fact, your career gets so much better. So yeah, I think it is really important to understand that there is just not, you're not going to get where you think you're going to get if you've got a substance use disorder.
Outside of your career, a lot of people have social lives that are built around friends who drink. And if they have this disorder, they might think, well, am I going to lose all my friends now? I know that was a concern on your part too. What's your message to those who say, I know I have a problem, but I don't want to lose my friends?
First of all, your friends who are truly your friends, stick around. My friends that I write about in the book are still my best friends today. The people that fell out of my life were really just people that I would, hang out in bars with, or not really have any major connection with. And so your friends aren't going to walk away from you. Your real friends, you just do different things with them. Instead of going to a bar on a Friday night, they'll meet up with me for brunch on Sunday or a museum on a Saturday. And they're fine with that, because they didn't have the same relationship with alcohol that I did. And the other piece of that is that if you think your life is going to get really boring and quiet, be prepared, because life gets big when you get sober. You have choices, you have options. I had always wanted to, in my head, wanted to be a writer and write a book. And I used to, sit on a bar stool and say, I'm going to write a book. Mm-hmm. And then I got sober and I wrote a book. So, you have no idea what you're capable of, and how big life can get.
Such a great message. Is it still hard for you?
I don't miss alcohol anymore, or drugs, but there are times, I think, like many people, and certainly now, where you just wish you could sort of, disappear for a little bit in your mind, just, shut the pandemic out, just sort of, escape. And, then I remind myself, that the way I escape now, I have tools that that help me to do that in a much healthier way. And that, if I'm trying to escape with alcohol, I can walk my brain down the road of where that goes next. A smart friend of mine in recovery said, if you've got 10 problems and you pick up a drink, you've got 11 problems.
Isn't that the truth? And I've got to think that those words, because I've even been thinking about them since I read the book, the words from the gentleman in Detox when he was talking to the group, don't pick up no matter what. That seems like a pretty important mantra.
That's it. And yeah, you do not pick up no matter what. And the thing that's amazing now, that has always, but now with the pandemic, it's, much easier even online, is that you are never alone. If you are feeling that way and you feel like you want to drink, or you feel like you want to stop drinking, whatever it is, you are not alone. There are so many resources out there and groups that get together, all kinds of issues and all kinds of substances, whatever it is. People want to connect and help you. And I had that feeling, my sense going through that whole descent was that I felt so afraid and isolated, and I lived in fear. And when I realized it wasn't just me, that was when I decided I wanted to write the book with my name on it, to be able to let the next person know you're not alone.
Yeah, and it was so brave, because it wasn't just you telling your descent, but the detail and the humility that had to go into that, just so impressive. And I can only imagine the number of people you've helped already. So thank you for that, and thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.